So here's what we're going to do. My superpower, I think, is coming up with complex automations and things like that. There's certain things that I'm not so good at. So I'm really excited about today's session because my coworker and colleague is the awesome Wendy Lunt out of Washington. Now, Wendy is phenomenal. Her superpower is telling very captivating stories and workshopping or teaching these subjects in a manner that I think makes it less like work and understandable. The topic that we're going to talk or kind of dive into today is an important one. It's advanced Google My Business optimizations to help you rank well in local search results. The reason I think this is so important, and I say this all the time at all of my appointments, we live in a 5-star review culture. We just do. So I think pre-COVID, when we're going to conferences and trying to look for a place to, go grab drinks or a restaurant, what do? We go to our phones, we type in a search, and we look for, a place that has 4 or 5 stars. We see a 2-star, we move on to the next. So consumers, the important thing here, or a stat that I often share, is 97% of people search for a local online businesses when we need anything, really. And that includes a local real estate professional. So hopefully you've done the work of setting up a Google My Business because you've heard me talk about it. You've heard, your friends talk about it. Google My Business is important because it leads to discoverability. And the biggest challenge, one of the single biggest challenges you have out in the marketplace is discoverability. There's a consumer out there doing a search online, and they're doing that search. They have 5 different browser tabs open. And they're trying to decide, why should I choose you over those 4 or 5 other agents, right? So we call them building trust assets. When you have your Zillow agent profile, when you have your Google My Business, when you have a website that tells a captivating story, when you're creating content on YouTube, et cetera, all of that is building trust assets so that hopefully you're telling a story of why choose me. And hopefully that story resonates and it stands out above and beyond those 4 or 5 other agents that are interviewing for that one listing. So I'd love to introduce, with all of that said, I'd love to introduce my friend and coworker, Wendy Lunt. She's amazing. She's a rock star. Wendy, can you tell us a little bit about you, and let's kick this off?
Awesome. I would love to. So let's see, I am a true nerd at heart. In my marketplace, they call me the Google Business Whisperer, and it's because I just can't stand not knowing how Google works and understanding what a real estate agent can do, that they can do organically, no cost as far as dollars take, but to increase their SEO and actually get found by those people, like you were saying, Ricardo, the people that are searching. We know we've got clients out there that are, got their cell phone in their hand 24/7 or within reach. And every time they have a question or they're looking for something, they go to Google. So I really like to make sure that my real estate agents are at the top of Google. And so that's my passion. So background, real estate agent long time ago, and then into sales and now into marketing and tech. And I feel like I'm in the right zone.
Awesome. So let's kick things off. I'm going to assume that most of you already have a Google My Business account set up. So if you don't, it's a pretty easy account to set up. I have a pre-recorded webinar that I'll share with you all so that you can go through the motions. What I don't want to do is I don't want this session or this workshop session to be a, beginning 101, because I think that's the work you can do yourself. So I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to presume that some of you have already done the work of setting it up. You maybe have 1 or 2 reviews, but now that we're here, where do we go next? How do I really make this thing work for me instead of just sitting there as a thing that I have set up that's just kind of collecting dust, or, I don't give it a second thought.
Awesome. So let's do the next step.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Ricardo, I'm going to share my screen because the one thing I like to do is make sure that I show you the results and what can happen if you then do the things that I suggest you do. So if you'll let me be your Google Business guide for the next little bit, I promise I will show you things that actually get results, not just that I think are a really good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you some of my clients' results. All right, so it's not showing the one I want. Of course, you go to do something live and you share the wrong screen. Thought I chose this one. Here, this is what you should be looking at. Okay, so here's really exciting news. So I have one of the 3 strategies for getting the top of search using your Google once you have your page set up. Because by the way, and I know you know this, Ricardo, but setting up your Google business is literally like putting your tennis shoes on and tying them and getting ready to go to start running the race. Like you literally just have your tennis shoes on right now. So what I like to do is give you the strategies to get you around the track faster than your competition. So the results that you're seeing right now are actually, cue the confetti if we can here, if it'll let me. Oh no, I'm in share mode, it won't let me. Okay, anyways, this client, after 2 weeks of doing the things that I'm going to tell you today, which is how to post engaging posts on Google, he had 8 direct cues from Google. So basically 8 different consumers were looking for his name. But the cool number is the discovery number, which is 391. In a matter of 2 weeks, he went from almost invisible on Google to 391 times Google put his information in front of the person that was querying that search. So that's pretty huge. Let's go to the next.
Phenomenal.
Do you love it?
That's
2
awesome.
weeks. 2 weeks. I love it. So the next set of numbers that I want to show you are his activity. So in 2 weeks, after doing what I'm going to share with you today, he had 42 visits to his website. Now that was only 2 weeks. He hadn't any calls. I will tell you since then, he's had over 18 come list me phone calls through awesome. Google. So people call you through Google and Google like saves that information and shares it with you. So it's like real results. He had 2.44 thousand views to his images that he was using because I also taught him how to geotag, which is a whole nother conversation. I have those numbers. And then this is the other cool number to look for when you're on Google is how did you get found in search and where? So 419 of those were through Google search and 65 of them were through map search. So don't forget, people are searching directly on maps as well.
So what do you think that is? Is it people searching best realtor near me? Maybe they drove to a listing, try to contact the listing agent didn't answer. So they default to best realtor near me or best realtor in Costa Mesa?
You're exactly right. So as long as you are using some of those key phrases like best realtor or best real estate agent, et cetera, in those areas. And the other reason why they're getting found is this is another class, another day, they're adding the coordinates for the areas they want to get listings in, and they want Google to be their business referral partner. So they're kind of juicing up and giving Google all the signals about here's where I'm at. So please send me referrals here. And here's what I do. And then what I do is the relevant posts that you can put into Google that I'm going to share with you today that make you stand above the competition.
Awesome.
So let's talk about Ricardo and friends. Why does this work? Well, customers find you on Google because you either put out offers or relevant content to what they're searching for. Here is a pro takeaway. If you are taking a note, this is one thing you should think of. So you have clients, they ask you questions. Those are actually FAQs, frequently asked questions. So when a seller asks you, or a homeowner says, Ricardo, is this a good time to sell? I know we're in COVID, but is it safe to sell my house right now? Will it work? So you put that question into Google, start typing it in, and see what the answer box drops down. Because can I sell my home during, and then see what people are typing in. Those are the most frequently asked questions on Google. Why wouldn't you want to make a post that answers that question?
I think in a previous video I shared with you all, previous video or a meeting, I don't remember. There's a service called SEMrush. If you go to SEMrush, so SEMrush.com, and you type in, is it safe to sell my home right now? Or how do I buy a home? Or any sort of phrase or question, it'll literally give you a dropdown of all of the top search queries. Like Wendy said, it'll give you a dropdown of all the top search queries. I think the thing that we need to be doing is we need to be answering consumers, sort of addressing consumers' pain points and fears. And we need to do it a huge step above and beyond. Now's a great time to sell because it's a hot seller's market. Mm-hmm. That marketing sounds just like everyone else is marketing. It doesn't differentiate you. And in a market where the consumer has easy access to information that they can find themselves, show me or educate me above and beyond the information that I can find myself. And then not just that, you don't want to drown your message out in a sea of sameness. If you're saying the same thing as every other realtor, that's not differentiating at all. So the questions you do need to answer are the content, like your copy needs to say, the ad that I always put together is something like, how do I sell with so little on the market to choose from? I want to sell, but I'm scared because how do I sell my home with so little on the market to choose from? Where will we go next? How do I safely sell during a global pandemic? What are some small things I can do to increase the value of my house? That's all content.
Absolutely.
So I would just, position it from that lens. You really do have to think about what is today's consumers' pain point, their biggest pain point, and try to create content that addresses it.
Exactly. Well, I want to share two things. First, I want to share some topics, like some inspo. You're trying to figure like, what am I going to write on this Google post? I'm going to share that with you. And then I'm going to give you my formula that's been getting the most engagement. So I'm going to give you that with a couple of little pro tips. So if you are the type of person that likes to take notes, grab your tablet or your actual paper tablet and a pen, and I'm going to give you some things to consider as you're doing Google posts. But before I do, I want to tell you one thing that's the biggest misunderstanding about Google posts. They are not social posts. Right, Ricardo?
Correct, 100%.
Right, so this is not like what you had for dinner last night, unless it's very specific to a community and you're trying to showcase a restaurant. But this is not a social post. So if I had to choose, if I only had 20 minutes per week to post on something, would I choose Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? Those are all little tiny planets in the galaxy of the one big thing called Google. So I would go to Google and I would spend my time there. And once you've created really great posts there, you can repurpose them and put them on those other places. But just remember, this is not a social post. This is your way of signaling to Google and giving Google relevant information about your profession that we know people are searching for. So you are literally answering questions so that Google can put you at the top so that you win the race to the top of SEO. So here we go. You ready? So here are my topics that you should consider writing about. So if you're taking notes, topic number 1, and it's going to be really obvious, anything related to real estate and real estate news. So if you are on some of these other channels and watching like what Breakthrough Broker is talking about and keeping current matters and all of those things.
Great resources.
And all your resources, do not copy and paste and then link back to them. Instead, read the article and now you be the newscaster and go on Google and you share that this is what's going on in your area, your neighborhood, your community, your city, and how it relates, how, for example, how interest rates are affecting homeowners in city X as when they sell their homes. And then you could do a second article on how interest rates are affecting the buying power for people in this area and what you should know. So make sure that when you do a post and Google gives you the option to do a link back, like you can link back to your website, always come back to you. Don't link away to the article because then you're just like sending them off into the ether.
Yep, 100%.
So that's category number 1, anything going on related to real estate and interest rates and news around that. My second category, and we alluded to it, it's seller and buyer FAQs. You should be able to take a piece of paper or a document and write the word seller questions and then write the word buyer questions. And underneath each one of those, I will bet if you've been in the business for a year or longer, you could write out at least 10 frequently asked questions for each of those. That's 20 different posts that you can do that will lead people back to you because people are asking those questions. Number 3. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to clarify for those of you, we're talking about Google My Business posts, not posting on your blog or your real estate website, correct?
Correct. This is all Google Business posts. And after I give this inspiration, if you want, I'll open up my screen and show you the step-by-step formula. So I'm just going to inspire you first. All right. So third is community news. So if you're taking notes, write down community. And what you want to do is become the local welcome and the local expert around everything in your city. So is there a parade coming? Where do you watch the fireworks? And by the way, this is a huge key. The number one search for community query on search right now is fireworks near me. Because people always want to know where's the coolest show, right?
Yep.
So think about it. A week in advance, you're going to want to post best places to watch fireworks in, and then name your area, and then do a quick little post about it, and then lead them back to you. And if you like watching fireworks here and you also want to maybe watch them on your own back porch, let's look for a house together, right? So you can always bring the post back to you. But if you're going to do community, think about, is there some road construction that you can talk about? Is there a new subdivision going up? What's happening in your community? Is somebody getting some type of an accolade? You can congratulate them, but your posts, you should be the local Wally. And that's just kind of a little tip of the hat to a guy that I found in Sonoma. He's called himself Local Wally. And I was looking up all this stuff for wine tasting. Turns out he was a real estate broker, and he was selling houses off of being an expert to wine country.
That's awesome.
So be your local Wally. Fourth inspiration is local businesses. This is different than community, and let me give you a quick idea of how you can use local businesses. And Ricardo, you're the one. When you go to a new area, what do you look for? What something near me? Is it coffee shops near me, or what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a place with good chilaquiles or a good craft beer place.
There you go. Exactly. So there's 2 posts right there, 3 chilaquiles. I don't think I pronounced it properly. Craft beer, and then maybe coffee. I'm from the Seattle market,
Yep.
so coffee near me, right?
100%.
So do some posts one at a time and talk about, if as a local, if you haven't been to these 3 burger joints, these are the 3 best burger joints in, and then name your city. Then you make a list. Now I'm gonna give a pro tip on the side here, because that's how I like to roll. Have you ever noticed that when you're searching for something, if there's a possibility of there being a list or step 2s, that Google shows that, like actually displays that information, and then there's a link to click? Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the biggest tip that we've discovered in the forums that I'm in, is that if you make a list and embed that in your post, so like the 3 best places to get craft beer in Seattle, Washington, and then you do 1, 2, 3, and then you do a call to action, Google will put your post above anyone else's post in the community that's relevant to that, because you have a list.
That's awesome.
So do that. So think about, if you were going to tell somebody about your community, what are the 3, X number? So 5 best parks, 3 best hiking areas, things that are close, things that are amenities to the community. Do local businesses whenever possible. Plus, local's good.
I'll share a strategy that we implemented. This is back when we launched Agent Press with Copyblogger. So this was 2012, 13, maybe 14. We launched a little over a couple hundred hyperlocal websites. Now, as real estate professionals, I know it sounds daunting, or it can sound daunting, to create all of this local content. I'm busy selling houses and negotiating. How am I going to make time to create all of this content? I think this stuff is important. Content advertising without an effective content strategy is sort of setting you up to fail, or setting you up to be, you're not going to maximize your opportunities, in other words. So I think investing in content should be sort of table stakes for how you market your business. One of the things that we did to try to offload some of that pressure to have to create all of this content is we hired local writers. And so we put an ad out on Craigslist, and I'll include this with the follow-up email and whatnot, but the ad for the Craigslist ad, we did subject line, the subject line was, or the headline was, new hyperlocal website looking for talented and enthusiastic writers. And then in the body of the job description, we put, hey, do you love living in insert city? So do you love living in Washington? Are you in the know into all the cool, hip, and fun things to do? If so, we want to hear from you. Are you a social butterfly, both in person and offline? If so, we want to hear from you. Here's what you should do next. Reply to this email or reply to this posting with links to your public social media profiles, not because I want to stalk you, but because I want to know that you really are a social butterfly online. 2, send me a link to a recent writing sample of an activity or favorite place to visit in the local community. Number 3, write a 250 to 300 word article on one of your favorite activities or things to do in the neighborhood. And then lastly, do not send me your resume, because we will not read it and will immediately disqualify you. What ended up happening was pretty phenomenal. We got a lot of stay-at-home moms who wanted to, create content, because this is a good way for them to generate income. But what are stay-at-home moms phenomenal at? They're great networkers. So not only did we get people that were, local writers, but knew all the best wine places, they were also amazing networkers. So when they published this content, they also did the work of sharing it on social media. So we would get these posts on, 10 best restaurants to visit for date night, or 10 best places to watch fireworks on the 4th of July, and the list goes on and on and on. And then we'd have the realtor focus on the real estate specific content. So local journalists are going to be a great source of copywriting talent for you. You can even go to the local business journal, because my guess is the local business journal pays anywhere between $20 to $24 per post. And they don't have enough job postings to keep their journalists employed or busy. And what ended up happening is we just hired a bunch of local copywriting talent for, 14, 15, 16 bucks per post, and created all of that local community content that Wendy was kind of inspiring you guys on. So there are ways, I think, to kind of mitigate that or outsource that, if you will, where you just play the role of editor-in-chief. You just got to go out and recruit the content writers.
That's a huge strategy. I love it. Now,
I got us sidetracked.
That's okay. I was going to say, I'm actually going to show you how to do this. So if you don't want to jump through those hoops and you want to write it yourself, I'm going to give you the formula. But the other option is to find other local foodies and, local outdoors people, like you're talking about, Ricardo, and tap into that. Awesome. I'm going to give you one last category, and then we're going to go into the formula for writing it. So the last category could be inspiration is your landing pages on your existing website. So what I mean by that is, if you're not sure what to write about, and my advice is you should be posting the same day of the week, every single week. The 2 best days, by the way, if you're taking notes, 2 best days for real estate are Mondays and Thursdays. And the logic behind that is, from what we can learn, that Google will hold your post on Google, your Google business page, for 7 days. After that, it doesn't go into like a news feed like you would traditionally see on some of the other social channels. Remember, it's not social. It archives it. It basically puts it in a little library, and it goes, okay, the next time somebody in your city asks for information about this, it's going to pull it back up and use it as a citation, and it's going to look like a micro blog article. So it doesn't get rid of it. But every 7 days, if you can post on the same day of the week, Mondays or Thursdays are the best, get in front of the wave, you're going to stay the most relevant to Google in Google's eyes, and you're more likely to go to the top. If you do the Everybody Bunny and all of a sudden you post 17 things in one day, and you do that for 3 days in a row because you think you're just going to stuff Google, and then you go away for 3 weeks or 3 months, you've actually jumped to the top for a short period of time, and then you're going to drop like a rock. So I always explain to people, when you're going to post on Google or social channels, post at a cadence in which you can sustain that cadence. So if it's twice a week, once a week, whatever it is, do it and do the same time. That's how you win when it comes to posting. So your landing pages are inspiration. What do you have in your landing pages? Do you have an app they can download to search for homes? Do you have a downloadable, 12 steps to get your home ready for sale? Whatever you have, landing pages, or just your home search, your IDX search, think of that, and you could actually write a post about offering that and then a link to it. So your landing pages can also be your inspo. All right, here's the formula. I'm going to give you my formula, and I'm actually going to do it in a really visual way. So I'm going to share. I guess you can't talk and type and click around at the same time. I'm going to share my Google business page with you. So for those of you that have already set up your Google business page and you know how to get in here, great. If there's someone that's on the call right now, they're new to Google and they want to know how did she get to her dashboard? I'm going to show you how, because it's really worth the shortcut. And I love shortcuts. So make sure you're on google.com. Remember, this is a Google product. So if you're on Bing, go to google.com. And then up on the right-hand side, you're going to look for your Google profile. So this is my picture. It might be your initials. Next to that, you'll see this thing called an app waffle. And it's really a waffle that just holds all of the Google apps that you use, like YouTube and Sheets and Drive and Calendar and all of that. When you get here, you're going to look for this one right here called My Business. Yours might be at a slightly different place than mine, but once you click on My Business, it's going to open up to your dashboard. And that's how you get here. On your dashboard, if you want to see how you're doing, you can check your performance right here, which is what I was showing you earlier. How many search views? As you can see, I get found in map views more often than search views, and they would be searching for real estate marketing and tech consulting. You can then see your searches, how many are finding you by name, and how many are finding you because of what they're looking for. So what Ricardo was saying earlier, that topic around real estate that you've posted about, they're finding you that way. And then your activity is going to be how many people have clicked through to your website, called, and that's the one I really hope increases for you, that they're calling you through Google. How many people have looked at your photos, and this is an ask for driving directions. So your performance is something you should check maybe, once a week, because it will give you insights into what you're doing is working. And I love that. So this is your left-hand navigation on Google underneath your name. So we're just going to go to posts, and I'm going to walk you through what you should be looking for. So when you're on posts, you can look at your past posts. You can see the engagement, like how many times Google showed this post to people searching for this relevant information, how many times they clicked through to the website. So you can see lists are doing well. I had 32 views on this, one click through to my website for learning how to improve your visibility on search. So that was specifically to real estate agents. You can also, when you're on your post tab, you can see, and this information is updated in real time. So a running week, so 7 days, I've had 21 views on my Google posts. So you can see that where you're at. So I think that's good to know analytics, right, Ricardo? Like, is it working? Is it not working?
Is a certain piece of content resonating with others more than the rest?
Exactly. So now let's do a post together. Do you see these tabs across the top?
Yep.
Don't ever use COVID-19 update. And the reason why is it actually overtakes your Google business page and it compresses everything else. And so it's just all about COVID, and we want to kind of get past that. Don't use this. We're going to not use ad offer very often in real estate unless you are doing some kind of a discount on your services, which I'm guessing is not going to happen. You're going to almost always use ad update. Ad event would be used if you're going to do an open house and you have a date and time.
A virtual open house or something.
Virtual open house, and there's a time limit on it. But just remember, when you do that, when it's over, it's over. So I like to help people do things smart, which is let's put something on Google that they will never take down. It's always searchable. So when you click on add update, this is what you're going to see, and it's cool. There's 3 steps to an amazing Google post, and I'm going to give you the formula in the middle. The first is to upload a photo or video. Now you can load as many as 10 images. So it's like a carousel, just like on Facebook or Instagram carousel. I'm going to grab one right that I made earlier. And so if my post is going to be about how home values have increased by a certain percentage, so if you're doing market updates, it's a great place to repurpose that information. I'm just going to drop that image in. I've also geotagged, which means I've given the coordinates to Google, and I'm signaling I want more listings in Tacoma, Washington. Mm-hmm. As you see, here's the shortcut. And here's another pro tip. Those of you that are taking notes, think of 10. The ultimate minimum of putting the number of photos up on Google per week to stay ahead of your competition is you should be uploading at least 10 relevant images around real estate. So what's cool is when I do a post, if I want to work really smart, see that? I can load 10 photos here and kind of do like a one and done, get all my photos in and do my post once a week. Mm-hmm. So that's a little smart thing you can do. Next, it says write your post. when I like to write my post, I like to see what I'm writing about. So I tend to drag and pull that little corner of the bottom so that I can see my entire post. You get 1,000 characters here. So a lot more than the characters on the MLS. So don't be afraid to write something, but also don't be overwhelmed. This doesn't have to be a full blog post. This literally just has to answer their question and then have a call to action. So there's my formula. Answer a question that someone is searching and use key phrases like the city name, the neighborhood name when it makes sense, or the topic. Make a list whenever possible, and then do a call to action. Tell them what to do next. Ricardo, I know you're really big into calls to action. Do you want to say anything about that while I'm chatting this up?
I'm laughing at the image you decided to share, because this is one of the scripts that I shared last week. So Tacoma home values have increased 13% since 2020. So one of the swipe and steal scripts I gave on a podcast episode last week on our sister podcast is just something like, hey, just a quick note to update you on the housing market in your area. The market is hot. Prices in Tacoma have gone up, X amount of thousands of dollars in the past 12 months, and houses have received multiple offers within 7 days or 10 days of being on the market. Ricardo and Ashley wanted to sell their starter home and move up. They felt paralyzed. They wanted to sell, but they were afraid that they couldn't be able to find anything to buy. So I encouraged them to take it one step at a time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What you want to do when you're writing your copy is you want to, I want you guys to share your success stories of how you're helping buyers and sellers navigate today's difficult market. And then the reason you're doing this is because people can see themselves in the story. In other words, stories is what makes you relatable. You want the consumer to be able to say, oh gosh, you know what? Yeah, we're kind of in a similar situation. Funny that you bring that up. And that's what you're looking for. You're essentially telling people, I like you, I want to work with you, and I want to work with other people just like you. I think that's the message that you're trying to convey. And then wrap everything up with a nice, good, powerful call to action. If you want to know what your home is worth, click here, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Thank you you led me right into it. So here's my post. And as Ricardo was talking, I'm literally making my post. And as you can tell, it's not this giant blog. It is, let's see if I have characters here, if they'll show me. It's not going to show me right now, but I have well under 1,000 characters. But here's the thing. This is the formula. The first sentence is just a statement that's maybe either a question that you already know they're asking because you've done a little bit of research or you've gotten that question, or a statement. So are you curious about how, your, always proofread, your home's value has increased by 13% since 2020? Here are the 5 factors that affect your home's value right now. I should have said in Tacoma, by the way. I was listening to you and typing it at the same time. And don't be afraid to use city-state because Google is global. Yep, and Google's global. So if you just say Tacoma, there might be 12 other Tacomas in the world. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to say, Tacoma, Washington, or city-state, right? Then after that, here are the 5 factors. So this is how I turned this into a list, Ricardo. And this is the genius behind what's been getting my brokers the most views and engagement, which is here are the 5 factors that affect your home's value right now. So you educate them, but you turn it into a list. So you just tell them what affects their home's value, and then your final call to action. And then give them FOMO. I've been providing your neighbors with an updated value, and home value, and I would be happy to do the same for you. And then into what Ricardo was saying, if you would like to know your home's value, click learn more. And the reason we say learn more, and I won't finish typing just because of time, right here where it says choose a button, you want to choose learn more. Learn more is the most engaged with action button on the internet right now. So book is not the one for you. Order online isn't, buy isn't, sign up and call now. They'll already have access to your phone number through the post. So you don't have to worry about the call now. Let's go with learn more. And you'll notice this is step 3. Now add a link for your button. So go grab the URL to your website that brings them to whatever it is. So if I've said I'm going to give them a free updated home value report, here I'm going to take them to my landing page where they can put their address in and get a quick CMA.
Yep.
And maybe like what, Cloud CMA or buy side or one of
You
those.
guys have free access to, if you have Cloud CMA, and I know here in SoCal it's a member benefit, so you do have access. The first tutorial Tuesday we did, I showed you how to grab a free What's My Home Worth landing page directly from within your Cloud CMA account. So just look for that video. It'll literally say how to set up your free What's My Home Worth landing page, but you do get that for free through Cloud CMA.
That's phenomenal. We don't get that in our marketplace. So use it. That's awesome. So here's the last thing. I'm going to hit preview. So we've done 3 things. Put a photo in, wrote a little post, and then told them where to go. Now you can see what it looks like. Of course, you'd have those all filled in. The Learn More button works. If you like it, if you don't like it, click back and fix it. If you love it, you just click on Publish. And this is live now. This is not live in a few seconds. It's like this is already on my Google business page. And do you want me to show you where it shows up?
Yeah.
Where it displays? Okay, so let me jump in. So I'm just gonna, another little pro tip, make sure you name your business your actual name, the one that people are going to search for. Don't name it something fancy. It actually makes you invisible. And there's my post right there. So at the bottom of my Google business page, so let me just go back. Here's my Google business page. Here are my products, my categories, you can find all about me. And then below that is where your posts show up. So I can now click it as a consumer, read all about it, click Learn More, or I can go back to the Google page and I can actually call and connect. And then
Awesome.
older posts show up down here. They'll just, so it's kind of like a news feed, like they could then go see the rest of what you have.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily act the same way as a Facebook news feed.
And then again, the lifetime of those posts is about 7 days.
Correct. 7 days on your Google page and then indexed and ready to be shared in the future.
Once I post it here, do I have to do anything else?
You know, that is such a great question. So, and there's a do and there's a don't. So if you wrote something amazing right here, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to, if you're active on LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn and natively upload it there. If you're active on Facebook business or Instagram, etc., go there and do that. But what you don't want to do is this. Here's the deadly mistake most people make. Click this little share and they go, oh, I'm going to share it on Facebook. Okay, so do you know, and I know you know, but the rest of you, that Facebook and Google are frenemies. They both want to earn and like take the whole world over by eyeballs, because Facebook is a search engine too. So if you share from here, it'll actually kill your edge ranking on Facebook. So don't do it. Don't be tempted. Rather than doing the little share thing, copy what you wrote, go to Facebook, upload the photo, paste, and then go. Can I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay. So that's my formula. The formula is, and it's in the writing, tell them what you want to tell them. Use key phrases like city or neighborhood or whatever is current around that question, those phrases. So tell them what you want to tell them, use a list when possible, and then tell them what to do next. And that's what most posts are missing, Ricardo.
We don't tell them what to do next.
You have to say, to see more homes like this in X city, click Learn More. I have so many to share with you, right? And do it in a human way. Don't do like the salesy, you know, call now.
Contact me now. Call me now.
Don't do that.
I have, what is it? I have all the inventory. There's no inventory, but I have it all. Call me now.
Yeah, don't be that. Don't be like that. So I do have one more little place that you can access, and it's an app that you can use, a dashboard basically you use. If you are this type of person that says, okay, Wendy, you said once a week minimum on the same day, be consistent, etc., but you know you're never going to be able to get around and do that. There's only one place I've found right now, that platform I should say, that does it really well for Google, and it's called oneupapp.com. And I'll add this to the chat. So you just fill out the words oneupapp.com, and there you can take maybe 1 hour once a month, go in, write your posts, schedule them, and then walk away. And they do also syndicate for other apps as well, but this is the only one I found that does a really good job for Google.
We had a question, and I know this is a whole other class and topic,
Okay.
But Nick's a longtime friend. He's awesome. So the ad update looks great. What's your opinion on ad product to put listings, community pages, etc.? Because
That's
it
a,
allows us to add categories, and then we could also use the learn more to add a link to the listing page on our website.
exactly. Oh my gosh. So you said his name is Nick.
Yeah.
I love you, Nick. Thanks for asking that question. So here's the deal. When it comes to your Google business page, your three most important things you can do to get, because there's a bit of a formula to get to the top of search. You need to have more photos that are geotagged than your competition, more posts that are relevant to your real estate industry, and more reviews that are 4-star and above. But what lasts forever and keeps you at the top is your products. And that's what Nick was talking about. So products is like one of my other pro tips that you can work on. And adding products, you can do it directly from the product section by clicking add products here, or you can do it from posts, which Nick noticed, by clicking add product here. Either way, you do the same thing, which is this 5-step form to fill out. And this is where you put that evergreen information that is displayed all of the time, stays on your Google business page, and looks like this. Explore categories. So you could have home seller services, home buyer services, recently or successfully sold homes, and then homes on the market. So you can have categories that will lead them back to all of your products. And then when they get there, check it out. Let's say that this is a how to sell your home checklist. You can click it open. Here's all of your key phrases in here, and a clickable link to call, and a learn more back to your site. So that's for another day. I would love to dig in, but that's the other place that you need to really spend some time. And you put it up once and it stays forever.
So your products really should be like those lead magnets, or the evergreen pieces of content that you can convert to lead magnets and things like that.
And it's even the milestones. Like if I was a seller, walk me through everything you do for me. So a home value report, don't call it a CMA. A CMA actually means country music awards to most other people, not to us.
That's
so
awesome.
Call it a home value report. That's the #1 search for in Google right now for around homeowners. So it can be that. It can be your home consultation. It could be how I market your home. It could be, all of the different milestones that you do for a seller, how I negotiate on your behalf, your negotiation strategies, and you share that. Google's turned into your homepage, right? They're still going to get to your website, but they're not going to search for your website. They're going to search for things they're trying to solve. If you put your solutions that are relevant to what they're searching for on the homepage of Google, you're going to win hands down.
Awesome. So I know one of the things I want to do is set expectations. And I think you kind of alluded to this earlier. Don't try to front load your Google My Business with a ton of content in that first week and then drop off, because you're going to just drop like a rock in search results. So what do you think is a good sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? What's a good timeline you should give yourself? Committing to posting consistently for 30 days, 60 days. I always tell people 90 days when we're running ads.
So you should post to Google once a month until you want to go out of business.
So table stakes is once a month.
What? I'm sorry, did I say month? Once a week. Sorry.
Once a week.
Once a week until you want to go out of business, until you want your competition to take over. So we know right now that real estate agents, most of them are not even utilizing all of the good service abilities or visibility that Google's offering. So right now, and I know in my market, if a real estate agent posts once per week consistently, they're staying at the top and they're getting the phone calls. In the future, it might be twice a week, but for right now, you're amongst, you're in rare air right now if you do this. So once a week, and I wouldn't stop. I would be consistent with it.
Awesome. Well, Wendy, thank you so very, very much. That was awesome. For those of you that asked, yes, this is being recorded. I'll send it to you all so you can have a copy of it. I'll also send you, I'll post in the description for the replay where to get the step-by-step Google My Business instructions so that you can get it set up. I know some of you have assistants, so I would definitely, give that to your assistant to help you get it set up for you. If you're in Washington, you have access to a resource like the phenomenal Wendy. If you're here in Orange County, I know some of your faces look familiar. Just reach out. I'd be happy to help walk you through some of this stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you, and let us know what you want us to cover next. We're not going to jump into pay-per-click today. We're not going to jump into Google local service ads. That's a whole lot of other content and topics to cover. I want to keep these sessions short, sweet, to give you one key thing to take away, but also implement. If I overwhelm you with too much information, what's going to happen? We're not going to implement. And what I want you guys to do is, take this away, turn around, execute on it, and let me know how it's improving, right? So bit by bit, step by step. So thank you all so very much. Wendy, thank you. You're awesome. We appreciate you.
Thanks. I loved it. I could talk about it all day, but we better stop.
All right, guys. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome.
Bye.